backdrop, for their virtual organization and their support. On Tuesday this week, the 17th of August, the European Chamber of Commerce has launched a new ambitious fundraising campaign to support Vietnam during the fourth wave outbreak of AIDS, and healthcare professionals working around the clock to treat patients. Eurocham is encouraging its members to donate to a new fund, which will be used to procure much needed medical equipment for Vietnam hard-pressed hospitals. The initiative was initiated by an individual action, and Eurocham has agreed to lead and manage the campaign, aiming to utilize its large and diverse membership, counting over 1,000 enterprises and investors in all sectors and industries, to ensure the largest possible fundraising efforts. Our today's speakers will share information about this first-of-the-kind European fundraising initiative during the pandemic, the origin of this beautiful initiative from an individual action to a collective and meaningful project. We expect you to address our speakers all possible questions about the project, its setup, its objectives, technicalities, etc. We are here in full transparency to reply to every possible question. So please, during the first speech part, please raise your questions in the chat space. For that, I will gather your questions and address to our speakers after their presentation. Please allow me to introduce our 5 speakers. Mr. Alain Cany, Chairman of Eurocham Vietnam, Associate Professor Dr. Nguyen Lan Hieu, Director of Hanoi Medical University Hospital, Mr. Grisha Safarian, General Manager at Puratos Grand Place and Honorary Consul of Belgium in Ho Chi Minh, Mr. Paul Janssen, Ambassador of Belgium in Vietnam, Mr. Bruno Angelet, Security Policy Director of Belgium Ministry of Foreign Affairs and former EU Ambassador to Vietnam. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Alain, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Delphine. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again to all the participants, and in particular to the 4 speakers joining us, and who are basically at the very beginning initiative of this project. As chairman of Eurocham, of course, we are extremely pleased to be able to launch officially. I can say that this webinar is the official launch of the project, even it was in the media from the last 2 days, and we have already launched it internally within Eurocham membership, and we have already raised significant amount of money, and we have already purchased some equipment. But I would like to first thank our friends, Grisha, Paul, Bruno, and Professor Yo for this initiative and giving them the chance from a small micro personal initiative at the very beginning a few weeks ago to give us the chance to make it, I hope, a big project and with substantial impact to the situation in Vietnam. I think I don't need to tell you what is the situation we are facing in this country at the moment, but one thing which is absolutely sure is that the medical system is lacking equipment. Beside the lack of vaccine, which is another story, we know that vaccine will be coming, and that's the ultimate solution for this pandemic. But today we have people, too many people dying. We have too many people being hospitalized. We have too many people who need ventilators or any kind of equipment which they cannot find in the hospital. So this is why this project is of a very high importance. And this is why, together with all the European chambers, national chambers, the business association, who are part of Eurocham, 9 of them. Together with Eurocham, we are extremely pleased to launch this Breath Again Vietnam campaign. What I would like to assure you is that, and this is the reason we decided to go ahead with this project, is that we are going to provide you full transparency, full efficiency, and as much as impact as possible in the country. So transparency first. I think Eurocham is a trustworthy organization with a high level of governance, corporate governance, and we will assure you through a contract that any single euro or dong which will be given to us will be used to buy equipment on a full transparent way, and we are also responsible for monitoring the supply chain to make sure that the equipment has been purchased the right way and brought to Vietnam the right way at the right price, and that we will have access to this equipment at the right price as well. And on a full transparency way, this will be audited by our auditors, and I can give you all kind of insurance that this will be the case. On top of this, I would like to mention that His Excellency Giorgio Alberti, the head of EU delegation and ambassador of EU in Vietnam, is fully supportive of this project. I think he has already made a few quotes, including in the media about it. Unfortunately, he's not able to join this webinar today because he's busy with his own agenda, but he's fully behind the project, as well as many European ambassadors. And I think the presence today of Ambassador Paul Janssen is a good testimony to it. So we will be fully transparent. We will control the supply chain. We will give you full visibility. Of course, the visibility of the donors will depend on their situation. Some corporate donors making a significant amount of money need either for internal communication or external communication to be seen. So we will, as Eurocham, try to make a kind of tailor-made situation to make sure that you have the visibility you wish to have. And more important, we would like, and this where I believe we will make the difference, we would like to make sure that we will supply the equipment to a place where this equipment is needed. We are not here to please, let's say, the Ho Chi Minh City authorities or the Hanoi authorities or whatever. We are very lucky with the presence of Professor Yeo today, who is representing the Vietnamese medical expertise and working with a few of his colleagues. He's a member of our task force, and he's going to advise us on where the equipment are needed and where and what kind of equipment we should buy, because he has a full knowledge of the situation, and we know him well, and we can trust him and his colleagues for this purpose. So that's, but beside this, we will also propose to our donors, if they wish to buy a particular equipment for a particular place because they operate in this province, or because they have some good reason to provide the support to a particular province, we will do our best to make sure that this will be also tailor-made, and we will be able to deliver the equipment where you would like the equipment to be delivered. So that will be the role of the task force. I think I will probably stop here at this stage, Delphine. Of course, I hope we will have plenty of questions, and we will be able through this session to answer all the queries, to make everyone comfortable for making this Breath Again Vietnam campaign a big success.
Thank you so much, Alain. Dr. Nguyen Lan Hieu, let me turn back to you now We would like to hear from you because you are in front line. Please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Hiếu from Hanoi Medical University Hospital. I am coming to South Vietnam until already 3 weeks ago. As you know, Vietnam situation now is very different between this year and last year. Last year, we are full control of the COVID in our country. But this year, the Delta variant attacked us, and we have 300,000 people positive with COVID-19, and almost 7,000 people die because virus. And in Vietnam, we set up the medical system to again COVID. We have 3 levels of hospital to treatment. The level 1 is like basically treatment. We have in my province we have about 70 hospitalized and include about 10,000 patients. In this level, we need nutrition. We need device, especially the saturation monitoring for patient. We try to do 10 people one device, and they can measurement together, and we follow up by medical team. And the last one we need, this is in this level we need the medicine, the anticoagulants like enoxaparin or Sarento, and we need the steroid for this level. But it's very hard to fight it now in Vietnam. Company try to supply as soon as possible, but we still not enough. Some patients die because we don't have enough medicine. And the level 2 patient, we need a ventilator. This one is not a functioning ventilator. We need a high flow ventilator or CPAP machine. But this is very difficult now. Is the oxygen system. We don't have enough of the oxygen for full hospital because before the COVID-19, the government tried to set up the province hospital, but the equipment not enough. We have a space, but we don't have machine in this level. And the level 3 is ICU. It's very, very hard to find the ICU bed in South Vietnam right now. Many patients need to wait in the level 2, cannot go into level 3. And even if they go to level 3, we don't have enough ventilator for this difficult case. And I am nominated to director of the emergency hospital for COVID-19 in Bình Dương. It's a 437 ICU bed. But right now I have only 40 machine ventilator. We have a bed, we have oxygen in this hospital. We don't have machine, and we don't have a medical staff. I bring from Hanoi only 60 doctor and nurse, and we have a volunteer from around country about 40, and I have 100 employee running this hospital. Why it's very hard situation. Last night I lose 4 patients because 2 of them we don't have a machine to ventilate them, and we only using the high flow oxygen, and the patient cannot survive. And I almost have a 500 bed ICU in Hanoi. We asked some of our friends, some banking and some company can donate for this hospital. It is a 500 bed hospital. full functioning, because this is we build in the new one for 1 month, and we start next week in 1st September we will opening, and we have a enough machine, but with the high tech like the ECMO or dialysis, we don't have don't have this. And I think in Hanoi we have a time to prepare from the Ho Chi Minh experience, and I think we need to prepare more than we can, because we don't know exactly how many patients we will receive in this hospital. Today I am very happy to join your webinar. I am happy to know Aerosham helped Vietnam a lot in the past, and in the future I hope we can keep going, and we can do something for our patient. Thank you very much to listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hieu. We want to understand a bit better how we reached that point today, having this fundraising now operating. Grisha, maybe you can share with us a bit about how this all was initiated from an individual project to this whole an ambitious project.
I think you can do 2 ways. The simple way, we can buy from your funding. You can buy the device, very simple device like saturation or some ventilator or some monitoring. But the best way, we can do like a full support for one hospital, the ICU hospital, to make sure that the patient, the more dangerous patient, can do the best to them. You know, in Europe or in American, the US, the mortality in ICU is about 50%, 50. Now they diminish, some center less than 20%. But in Vietnam, in my center now in Bình Dương, the mortality is still very, very high. We extubation, you know, the intubation is for ventilators, extubation to patient getting better. From 3 weeks, I extubate only 4 patients. That means the mortality almost 80%, 80 to 90%. It's very high, because we don't have enough the machine and not enough the medical staff. And it's 2 ways you can choose. If you can do by direct device, okay. And if you can full support for one center, is best way, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Hieu. Thank you very much. So I will take just a few minutes to explain how this project was initiated. So my name is Grisha Safarian. I've been living and working in Vietnam since 1993. So this became my second country, sometime even the first one. And I have a big passion for Vietnam and for Vietnamese, the Vietnamese population, which I think is a fantastic and very interesting population. So when the 4th wave of the variant arrived 3 months ago, I started to realize, by talking with my colleagues, my employees, my Vietnamese friends, I started to identify a very, very unusual worry. All my Vietnamese friends were very, very worried, like I've never seen them since 1993. So I started to worry as well. I mean, what can we do? And so 3 weeks ago, I decided to allocate $8,000 of my company money to try to help an hospital in Bình Dương, where we have our business. We have 2 factories in Bình Dương. So I decided to allocate $8,000, which is a very easy thing to do. Okay, if you have the money, you just allocate. And that's when we realized that it was absolutely not as simple as allocating $8,000, because then you start facing logistic issue, authorization issue, contractual, legal issue. And personally, my business is chocolate, so I have no experience whatsoever in medical material. So the expertise was totally lacking. So I did put a team in my company, a task force, a mini task force, to take care of this $8,000. And very quickly, we connected with Professor Yu in order for him to tell us, okay, where are the needs and what should we buy? Should we buy masks? Should we buy medicine? Should we buy ventilators with a limited amount? And he told us that with this amount, the most useful material would be to buy 2 monitors and that they should be delivered at a specific hospital in Bijou. 4 days after the decision to allocate $8,000, the material was delivered, welcomed, and the next day it was in full use. So this is showing a little bit the prototype of what we are trying to upscale today. So of course, once we had delivered this material and saw that everything was fine, we were happy, we were satisfied for half day. Because after that, we realized that the needs, and Professor Yu just explained to us, and I'm actually very emotional talking right now after hearing what he said. He just explained that the needs are huge. So $8,000 is a drop in the ocean. So I started to talk with a few friends, and 2 of them are here. It's Paul and Bruno. How can we upscale? How can we transform this $8,000 into $800,000? And very quickly, the idea was to upscale from the private company's point of view. And what is the best way to upscale the initiative of one company from Belgium? Well, it's very simple. You call Eurosham and you start talking with Eurosham. And it took less than 24 hours for the connection between our small team and our prototype, talking with Alain Cani, talking with Delphine Rousselet. And immediately there was an alignment that was created over the strategy of the initiative, which is, as Alain already said, full transparency, full impact, and agility with a visibility for the donors. So it took us, I think, 3 days to finalize the transfer of the prototype with all the rules, all the strategy, to a task force that was established very quickly by Eurosham. And today is the day 4 of the fund. Seemingly the official opening is today. We already have a significant amount of money, and Eurosham is ready to accept and allocate any donation that the donors will be generous enough to give us. So that's what I wanted to share with you, my little story that we were able to upscale not only at the level of the European companies, but also, as Alain Cani just said, at the level of the European Union, because we have the moral support of all the governments of Europe. So this shows that, you know, simple and good idea can go very far. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grisha. I don't see any more. Ambassador Janssen, are you still here? Paul, you have disappeared from the speakers. Okay, maybe then we can move to Bruno Angelet, and as soon as Paul will be back, we will give him the floor. Bruno, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Delphine, and thanks very much to the leadership of Eurocham for having beefed up the initiative and taken the leadership on this. It's really wonderful. Just a few words on what we have considered last week when we started discussing with Grisha and Poland, and also with Delphine and Alain, what will not work presently and what indeed will work. First, when we considered last week what to do, the idea was, can we look into traditional government-to-government support through the traditional overseas development aid procedures? And then we noticed very quickly that it is hardly possible to tap into this process and this funding. Why? Because ODA regulation, wherever, be it in national countries or with the European Union, is very strict and subject to a lot of procedures and principles. First, you have to proceed through public tendering, which takes a lot of time. You have to publicize that officially. You have to define exactly what is needed. After public tendering, you can only channel funds or equipment through international organizations or recognized international non-governmental organizations. Each country will have to proceed through its own national regulations, and it would take a lot of time before you get everything started and before you get finally things delivered. So going through the national government to government cooperation to set up a quick initiative is apparently not doable in short time. We've tested that. We've tested that here in Europe with ministerial cabinets here in Brussels. So then we quickly move to option B, which is the one that Eurocham is setting up now. And that is going straight to the question, what do we need? Where should it go? And how can we proceed through fundraising? What we discussed also last week is whether if we go that way by fundraising, shall we try to purchase equipment here in Europe and have it channeled and delivered on the spot, or shall we do it locally? And together with Grisha and all of you, we quickly understood that the best business model is one tested already by Grisha, meaning you do fundraising wherever in the world, but you go through a local supply chain with distribution, possibly with a distributor importing from elsewhere, but bringing it straight and organizing it logistically on the spot. So apparently what we have calibrated, what Eurocham is doing now, is really the best way to have things matching. Listening carefully to Professor Hieu, that is also very useful, because what can we do from outside Vietnam? As I am here, for example, in Brussels, in Belgium, and I hope that other national chambers of commerce will try to set up also some fundraising nationally here in Europe, so that we can beef up the fundraising from Eurocham. What I think we need here, seen from Europe, is a very clear answer to the following questions. First, which is exactly the equipment needed? How much is needed? Where shall it go? And when should we try to deliver? So there should be kind of a target date, so that in a short time span we can convince potential donors to contribute. It is very important to be very practical and to have a precise answer to these 4 questions, because for all of you in Vietnam, it's easy to understand what's going on and what is needed, but to convince potential donors here in Europe who have not direct links with Vietnam, for example, it is extremely important that we have very calibrated questions, very calibrated answers, and that we can make sure that through the funds we raise here, we go immediately to the spot and we deliver in the most practical way as possible. That is why it's so important to have Professor Hieu with us here. I'm very grateful for what he said. I think he's really convincing. It clearly indicates that what Eurocham is doing is exactly what we have to do. So we're trying to organize fundraising here in Europe. We start normally here in Belgium next week, and I will see together with the colleagues from Eurocham how we can also activate some other bilateral chambers of commerce in other European countries. That's it for my side. Thank you very much again, and I'm available for more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruno. I'm afraid Ambassador Janssen has some issue to come back to the webinar. In the meantime, please allow me to share my screen with all the audience. We have now more than 150 people connected. That's great. And I would like to share my screen to show you the website we have put together. Our speakers, can any of you shake head if you can see my screen? Okay, great. So as you can see, we have put this page online, breatheagain.fund, okay, with all the national European chambers, of course, contributing. We are all working together hand in hand. And you can see on this page all relevant information, very first stage information. We will update, of course, every day those 2 blocks here where you can see the funds collected. So this is the money basically that we are collecting thanks to all of you. And the blue square is the amount of money we are spending to donate to hospitals. So at the end, of course, of this project, the 2 amounts will be equal. As you understood, full transparency is here the key word. So you can see that we have already achieved a beautiful figure in only 2 days. It's only a beginning. We have many more companies who told us that they are having discussions with their headquarters in Europe sometimes, or with the directors and management here, to decide what amount they can contribute. So we have promises, I would say fund promises, coming very soon. You have, of course, on this same page, the different contact points to reach us. This is one question I saw already in the chat. How can we practically join these fundraising initiatives? So here you have the contact points of our task force team, and you have, of course, the bank details. We have opened a dedicated bank account for this fundraising to make sure, again, that in transparency, we will be fully compliant. Every single penny that we will cash in will be cashed out for this initiative. Okay, let me stop sharing this. So Breathe Again Fund. We have, of course, posted many information already on our social media platforms, on our website. The business associations, national business associations, are also sharing the information. But anything you question, you can call us.
Delphine, Paul is back.
Stop sharing.
Paul Janssen is back, so maybe we should.
Absolutely. I'm trying to stop sharing.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
okay, I'm sorry, my connection is very bad. I'm home, I'm not in the office. That's the reason why, probably. I don't want to add many things to what has been said already by Grisha, by Bruno, by Alain, by yourself, Delphine. Just as a witness, we have many, of course, many fellow Belgians living in the south who have alerted us about the situation over there, and I was very moved by hearing Professor Yu about what the problem he is facing, because we know very well from our experience in Belgium how crucial the hospitals and especially intensive care units are in this pandemic. So of course, the solution on the long run would be vaccination, but this is not in our hands. This is in the hands of governments, of pharmaceutical companies. So what can we do to help is to support the hospital and the medical network, I would say, to face the dramatic situation. In Belgium, we had about 25,000 casualties, over 1 million people were contaminated, and the only thing we managed to do to keep our head out of the water was to help hospitals, because if the hospitals are not working, the situation will be much worse, and well, it can be get out of control very quickly. So really helping hospitals is crucial, and that's why, together with Grisha and Bruno, we decided to, we thought about what can we do, and then we decided to do something as a fundraising. Very quickly it appeared that from a logistical point of view, we should have worked on a very larger scale, and especially with Eurocham. So we are very happy to contribute to that. And myself, I'm not here as a diplomatic authority, but as a witness and a donor. And I'm very happy to be able to contribute to these funds. And I'm very happy that Eurocham is taking that into its hands and to support the hospitals in the southern part of Vietnam. Just want to say that. Thank you very much. Sorry again for the technical problem I had experienced.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Janssen. We have received quite a lot of questions already. So let me maybe move now to the questions, because time is running. We still have 25 minutes and questions are essential here. We received a question that is there a minimum amount for any donation? I would like to ask our speakers to all unmute, and please take the questions as you feel. If you have something to reply, if you have the information. Maybe Alain, you want to reply to that one? Is there a minimum amount to donate?
Of course.
Do we have a goal?
Of course, no minimum. Any dong will count. I think you should be aware that the type of equipments we intend to supply, the value of the equipment varies from, let's say, a few $1,000 $5,000 for a small equipment to maybe something like $30,000 to $40,000 for the most expensive one. That's the range. Of course, we can envisage, and I see some additional question here, to supply mask or whatever, but I believe this is probably covered by some others. And what we really intend to do ourselves is to concentrate on the needs of some specific hospital in some provinces which are really hardly hit at the moment by the COVID and under-equipped. And that's where we intend to look at this type of equipment. Of course, if you can donate, the more you can give, the better it is. And we can eventually, if you donate to buy an equipment, this equipment will be donated to the hospital on your behalf directly. If not, we will group, of course, a few people to buy this equipment. I think very soon, by tomorrow, on our website, you will have some samples of the equipment we are buying and the price range. We are working on it to make sure that this will be part of the transparency. And also, we will keep you aware of where the equipment are being delivered as well.
Thank you so much, Alain. I have a question that is addressed to Dr. Guillaume. Are there any regulatory issues with local People's Committee or Ministry of Health? What authorization is needed? I guess the question is about the donations. Can we donate to hospitals any medical equipment that we purchase, or are there any specific regulatory issues or authorizations we need to obtain in advance?
Sorry, it's for me? The question for me?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Guillaume.
I'm sorry, I have a phone call from the hospital. Please say
Sure.
again.
Do you want me to repeat? Yes, of course. The question was about the medical material, medical equipment we will be able, hopefully, to purchase. Is there any regulatory issues with the local People's Committee or Ministry of Health? Is there any authorization that we need to apply for beforehand?
I think right now it's very simple, but the most important is the device should have a clean paper, like a new one, the origin and for the transport. And I think I can help you about this. I have many friends working in customer. The most difficult is the customer. Another way, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think if I can add, Delphine, here, that's the reason we intend to work only with agents which are fully authorized and licensed in Vietnam for bringing this equipment. Of course, there is no point to bring an equipment here which is not allowed, not authorized. If it's not the case, we may have, and actually we have some proposal at the moment of people who want to give us equipment rather than cash, because they have this equipment in hands or they are not in use in Europe or whatever. So this is something we may consider as well. But of course, we will have to check if this equipment is allowed in Vietnam and fully licensed in Vietnam. But on our campaign, what we intend to do is to purchase equipment which are already in Vietnam, brought into Vietnam by reliable agents. And we have done some check already on the couple of agents we are in contact with, and we are increasing the list at the moment. And we don't intend to supply the hospital with equipment which are not allowed in Vietnam.
Yeah, it's correct. It's very good way to do. I think it should be okay. Thank you very much. Very clear.
If I may add, from our experience with the prototype, the $8,000 prototype we did 3 weeks ago, it's not only about supplying equipment. The reason we need an agent and a distributor in Vietnam is that you have to install the equipment, you have to do the maintenance. For some equipment, there need to be training. So it's a complete service agreement that is made between the supplier and the hospital. And so in this case, of course, the answer to the question, the initial question, is that from the experience we have, there is no problem contacting directly a hospital with the equipment.
Okay, well, you all replied to some questions that we received. For example, who are the suppliers? Where is the equipment coming from? Alain mentioned that already on this point. It's very important in terms of efficiency that we work with suppliers, importers that have already the stocks available here in Vietnam. We will not go to this importation whole procedure too complicated and too long. So that's the reason why we will choose only suppliers that are already here with the materials.
And most of these equipments, most of the equipments we are considering at the moment, they are manufactured in Europe, in Germany, for example. We might eventually, depending on the amount we are going to raise, we may have eventually to use equipment coming from the other part of the world. But we will try to, as much as possible, to benefit suppliers from Europe for the quality, and of course because the donors are from Europe. But let's see how much we can find, and we may have to enlarge the spectrum of supply. I see a question, Delphine, on the fact that Vietnam is, according to the statistics, the number of deaths in Vietnam remain extremely low compared with the rest of the world. I think Professor Yu may correct that. I think if you look at the statistics from the beginning of the pandemic, this is very true, because this country has contained the pandemic extremely well until a month ago or 6 weeks ago. And you may remember that about 6-7 weeks ago, the number of deaths in total in the country were below 30 something. And suddenly, as soon as the fourth wave become stronger in the south, I think today, Professor Yu, correct me, but I believe the number of deaths in Ho Chi Minh City today is something like 300 or 400 per day. And even in a province like Binh Duong, you mentioned that you have lost four patients in your hospital yesterday, but in a province like Binh Duong, it's 40-50 per day at the moment. And this number keep increasing.
Yeah. It's very important question. In Vietnam now, for statistics, we have a 7,000 deaths. It's about 2.3%. This is similar to some country like Thailand and Philippines. But I think the number is not correct, especially in Ho Chi Minh, because now Ho Chi Minh is a very, very dangerous situation. A lot of patients die at home. And for example, you know, many patients die. We need to bring to Bình Dương, to Bến Tre, to some neighbor province, to you know, to because the Ho Chi Minh cannot take body. And in Bình Dương, why the mortality is very low? So first thing is because we are just started the increasing of the cases. Normally after 10 days, the patient going to die. And I think for the peak of the mortality is still not right now. Second one, we try, because I stay here almost 1 month, we try to treat the patient very soon. Not we don't wait things the patient become this year or saturation going down or hypotension. We treat the patient very soon in the level 1. Normally in level 1, the patient don't need to treat only using the monitoring. But I decide to treat them early when the patient, especially for the young patient, because this disease very the timing is very important. If you treat them early, the patient can no symptom after the treatment few days. But if you let treatment, the patient getting intubation, as the patient cannot survive. Why we need more medicine in the level 1. We need more monitoring in level 1. When we find some symptom, we treat them, and the mortality keep going down. Before we have about 40 to 50 patients die, and I try less than 20 per day in Bình Dương. It's our direction, but I think we have a lot of things to do. Thank you.
Let me address one question to Alain Cagny about vaccines. As we are discussing funding for Vietnam to fight against COVID, do EuroCham members have any specific plans to support Vietnam with vaccine supplies, such as AstraZeneca or BioNTech vaccines? Alain.
Very good question. You may know if you're a member of EuroCham, but we have been trying very hard for at least the last 3 months to get access to vaccine, all different ways, through the suppliers, through traders. We know we have been aware that there were some stock of vaccine, unused vaccine in different places of the world, including in Europe, because some people have the luxury to decline some vaccine and prefer some other vaccines. So it has been a big effort. I can tell you, I have been talking personally with the CEO of all these big pharmaceutical group or their regional representatives. We found out actually that this is a government-to-government game, and any supplier will never work with a private party. And the Vietnamese government, even they were aware of our initiative and they were asking our help, they were not happy for any commercial deal for bringing additional vaccine to Vietnam. So what we have done instead, and I think Paul Janssen can support this as well, we have discussed with our different government in Europe, directly or through the embassies here in Vietnam. We had some different webinar with all the ambassadors and the EU ambassador. We have sent letter to each embassy. Our head offices of our members have been approached by us as well to make all the efforts for bringing more vaccine to Vietnam. You know, Europe is already the #1 supplier of vaccine to Vietnam through the COVAX program. And I think some countries have announced recently, Poland, France, and a few others, that they are going to bring, or they are bringing additional vaccine to Vietnam. And we hope that some more will come. But we have realized that we cannot do much in vaccine. This is why, it's one of the reasons. We had some brainstorming with Delphine about a week or 2 weeks ago to say we failed on the vaccine side and we are going nowhere. So maybe we should switch to the equipment, because now the situation in Vietnam has changed with more and more cases, and it has become common knowledge that there is a lack of equipment, and vaccine, of course, is needed. We push the government to buy more, but I believe there is not much we can do on this, but on the equipment we can do a lot.
Thank you, Alain. I'm monitoring the time. We still have a bit less than 10 minutes. So let me move to another question that is very important. I put it together with the first question: what is the process to donate? Who can we contact? So this, I think we replied before on the website, breatheagain.fund. You can find all the contact points. Contact anyone in EuroCham. We can all support you, of course. But the second part of the question, as a large global group, we have many compliance guidelines. What kind of document would you be able to provide us? This is an excellent question.
Everything you want.
I'm not sure who wants to take it, Alain or.
Let's say we are already working with some very, very large groups actually, and we are extremely demanding in terms of governance, and they are asking us a lot of, even I was told this afternoon that they are making some inquiry on my personal things. So I was asked even which bank I was using. So you should ask us what you want. I think we will be fully transparent. Our license, of course. You should have a copy of the contract which you will sign with Eurocham. I think we have made a contract which is bilingual in English and in Vietnamese, where you will see what we are going to do and the way the money is going to be used. I think the contract itself will probably bring some trust and confidence. But you should, we are asked how do we monitor our bank account or whatever. Please ask the question. We will try, of course. I don't want the team to be too busy with a lot of administrative work, but I know in some group, we have to go through this process. This is why, let's say, we cannot announce today a very, very big number or very high number. Even we are proud with the number we have reached with this almost 700 million dong, but we are in discussion with some big groups willing to make, let's say, sizable amount of donation, but we know the process will take a few days. They need 5 or 6 different signatures. They need the different departments to go through, and they need us to provide documents. But feel free to ask us anything you need. We will try to make you comfortable. But I believe we can even give you your Eurocham account if you want, audited by one of the big 4. Everything you want, we will be able to provide.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Alain. One question for Bruno, maybe, and Paul. Tricky question. How can the diplomatic corps support even more this action? Is there a message to send to your counterparts, ambassadors, consuls? So sorry, it's a very straightforward question.
Maybe I will take the floor first and then maybe let Bruno fill in the gap. We support it. We have put this announcement of the fundraising on all our medias, Facebook, website, and whatever you may think of. And I know my colleagues are doing the same. My friend Giorgio, the ambassador of the EU, the successor of Bruno, is also supporting it. That's what we are doing. This is a private initiative from the business community, and I congratulate it very much, Eurocham and all the business people who are willing to contribute. Myself, I have contributed also as a private person. To activate, I would say, funding from governments, it's another procedure. This is development cooperation. You have to pass through open bidding and this kind of thing. So the best way to have a quick reaction and a quick answer to the needs which are enormous in Vietnam is this way, is going through private procedures, fundraising, purchasing, because if you start to work with development cooperation money, then you come in administrative procedures, open bidding, and it's a story that can last for months before you have a result. So for the sake of rapidity and effectivity, the best way to work is to support this kind of initiative from the private sector.
Anything you want to add, Bruno, or I move to the next question?
Well, the difference between Paul and I is that Paul is, for the time being, a frontline diplomat, and I'm a backstop diplomat, meaning Paul is in Vietnam. He's representing Belgium in Vietnam, and I'm back in headquarters. I'm working in the Belgian Foreign Ministry. I'm not dealing with Vietnam. I'm dealing with security and defense issues. I'm dealing a lot with Kabul and Afghanistan for the time being, working on NATO dossiers. So I'm a backstop diplomat. But what's important, as Paul said, is that what I think the frontline diplomats can do, those who are accredited to Vietnam, is possibly take contact with the chambers of commerce who are nationally based, meaning in Germany, in the Netherlands, in Belgium, as I do here also, so that the business community in European countries who have a sensibility and an attachment to Vietnam also start their fundraising. So the diplomats can do this. I mean, also the consuls based in Ho Chi Minh City could take contact with the nationally based businesses so that they can also do fundraising and bring it all together on the bank account of Eurocham. That would be the best.
Great, thank you, Bruno. I see time is running. I will just give some one or two questions to Dr. Hio, but before that, let me reply myself quickly to some questions. Which percentage of donations will be allocated to the hospitals in need? All. It's 100%. Every single penny that we will cash in, we will cash it out. Be assured of that.
And no cash will be given. No cash will be given, only equipment.
Another question, am I right that contributions from both companies and individuals are accepted? Absolutely, of course. Then two questions for Dr. Hio, because you will help us on that. So this is for you. How will you decide where to send the equipment, and how do you decide which hospital is most in need? Of course, it's very difficult to reply because the need is everywhere.
As we say here, Delphine, of course, we have a task force. Within a task force, we have some people like Professor Yu, but we will also take advice maybe from other members of the medical sector, which we trust, which we know and which we trust. But you can also decide yourself if, as I said at the beginning, if you believe and if you're aware that there is a need in a particular province or a particular hospital, and because you operate there and you want your donation to be used for buying equipment and provided to this particular hospital, we will do. So you can be involved and you can decide yourself if you believe. If not, if you don't give us any direction, we will take advice from our advisor to make sure that we will reach our goal.
Absolutely. I can see that you have replied, Alain, to many questions in the chat box. So you can all have a look already at those replies, a lot of things. We are running out of time. I will leave the floor to a few closing remarks already. Time flies. Alain, would you like to take that? And from my side, I do thank all our speakers for being with us today. And around 160 people attended with us. Alain, the floor is yours.
Thank you all. I think be sure that we will look at your questions. If we did not answer, I see some people even are offering to support us, to give us some full time to be part of this. Let's see. I think I will leave it to Delphine to decide and to contact you. I see some people already saying that they are transferring the money at the moment to the bank account. Thank you. That's great. I think it's we will update you. I think probably we will organize another webinar on the same subject as an update, maybe at the end of the month, and to see where we are. And if some of you are still hesitating or whatever, I hope please send us an email and we will reply. But thank you, Paul. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Grisha, of course. You are welcome to continue to advise Eurocham for this project, and we have great hope. And I think this hour we spend all together with more than 100 people make me extremely enthusiastic that we will be able to achieve something good for the country. And a special thank you to Professor Yu. I know you are facing some very difficult time, you and your colleague at the moment, and we will do our best to support you. Don't worry. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Stay safe.